So this is our dissection project by Kira, Aaron, Malia, Rylan, and Nathan. Here's a little bit about a frog. Its common name is the pickerel frog. They live in a bunch of different environments like rainforests and deserts and mountains, but normally they live near a water source and it's normally fresh water because that's where they reproduce. Their niche, they kind of just control the insect population and they're prey for a lot of other animals. A few of their adaptations, they have webbed feet to help them swim faster, a tympanic membrane that separates the outside from the middle ear, a long small intestine that gives more time for fibrous material to digest and be absorbed. And then a little bit about our group, which was the skeletal and muscular specific. They have a tongue to catch insects, which helps them eat. They have a lightweight frame to help them jump, swim, move faster than if they were to have heavier bones. And then very strong leg muscles that allow them to jump really high and far. And then here are a few pictures. Uh, First one's of the membrane, second one's webbed feet, third one's small intestines. And then for our skeletal and muscular structures, we have the leg muscles, the tongue, and then the lightweight bones. And then later in the slideshow, there's a video of the frog leg actually moving.
Next, we dissected the clam. Common name hard clam, scientific name Mercenaria mercenaria. Hard clams are common from the intertidal zones of depths to about 15 meters or more, and they prefer muddy bottoms with loose shells and sand on top. For their niche, they are important in grazing of primary production, the transfer of carbon and nitrogen, and through excretion, rapid recycling of particulate nitrogen as ammonia. And here you can see the taxonomy. The clam's adaptations. Some general adaptations are gills, which filters food and air from the water, labial palps, which sort and guide food into the clam's mouth, and the mantle, which secretes the shell and has other sensory functions. For specific skeletal muscular adaptations, it has a shell that protects it from harm, a muscular foot, which is used to burrow in the sand, and abductor muscles, which open and close the clam shell. And here you can see the pictures of our dissection, the gill, the palps, the mantle, and the shell foot and abductor muscles.
So next we dissected the crayfish. Common name is crayfish or crawdad. Scientific name is Cumbarus robustus. The habitat, they prefer marshes, swamps, and ponds, slow-moving rivers and streams. They have been established in lakes, and you can often find them underneath a flat rock or in crevices or just crawling around looking for food. Its niche, they serve as an important link in the food chain. They feed on living and dead plants, other invertebrates, and fish. Their primary food for fish, bass, pardon me, water birds, herons, and more. The domain, actually, the taxonomy is just right here. You can go ahead and take a look at that right now. And then we got the crayfish adaptations, general. They got eye stems that allow for the rotation and wide range of vision. Maxilla, it manipulates food and other objects. The antenna, taste, touch food, and to maintain balance. And then the skeletal and muscular specific adaptations, they have an exoskeleton, which protects it from harm, keeps them nice and secure. The mandibular muscles, they grind food into small pieces, and it can grip onto things. Flexor and extensor muscles, it controls the movement of the crayfish's tail for swimming and other movement. Here we got the pictures of the dissection. We're looking at the eyes, looking at the antenna, and the nephrodiapore. Got the exoskeleton, get the flexor muscles, and the gastric mill.
All right, so as you can see here, there are some taxonomic differences between the organisms that we dissected. So these organisms all belong to the domain Eukarya and the kingdom Animalia. However, there are differences in their phylum and class. So in the frog belongs to the phylum Chordata, which means that these are animals that have like a flexible rod supporting their dorsal or backside. So this is kind of almost like a backbone in humans. And their class is Amphibia, which means that they basically just live on land but breed in water. For the crawfish, they also belong to the phylum Chordata, which again is these animals with flexible rods supporting their dorsal or their backsides. But these belong to the class Malacostraca, which means that they exhibit like a hard calcified exoskeleton that's typically in crustaceans, like a crab or a lobster. And then the body is also divided into three tagmata, which are cephalon, thorax, and abdomen, almost like an ant. So the clam belongs to the phylum Mollusca, which means that they are any soft-bodied invertebrate, but they also are enclosed in this calcium shell that's has like a soft mantle like covering and protecting its body. This also belongs to the class bivalvia, which means they have two shells. So you can imagine like a clam is connected by a hinge, like a ligament sort of thing, and that protects the parts of the creature, but they can also open up. And then really quickly over here, you can see that these are our different sources used. You may pause if you need to read this.
Okay, so for what is different about the organisms, uh, for the muscles they use for transportation, the frog uses its strong leg muscles for jumping. You can see here the muscles moving. And then the clam uses its foot muscle to burrow in the sand, which is right over here. Kind of pushes itself across. And then the crayfish uses its tail for swimming, and it swims backwards, like this in the video. Uh, for skeletal structures, the frog skeleton is specialized for jumping. It has extra joints which allow it to jump high and far. The clam has a shell, which is its skeleton. It's used for protection. It protects all its inner organs. And the crayfish also has an exoskeleton to protect it from predators.
All right, so as you can see here, this is our cladogram. So obviously we have our ancient common ancestor, and then separating that from the next four organisms are specialized muscles for movement. So like in humans, this could be like our leg muscles. Again, in frogs, this could be leg muscles. Crayfish, this could be like their legs, their stomach muscles, and then in clams, this could be the foot. So then separating humans from the rest of the organisms would be the fact that the rest of these organisms live in water. So frogs, crayfish, and clams all are native to aquatic environments. Next, separating frogs from everything else is a hard outer layer. So crayfish obviously have their exoskeleton, and clams have that outer calcium shell. And then finally, separating the clams from everything else is the fact that the clams have no limbs. So everything else, humans, frogs, crayfish, they have some sort of limb, and clams don't. So then here you can see just a more like visual representation of these differences between organisms.